Welcome and thank you for being here today as we mourn the death of Kathy Maietta and celebrate her life. Let us be honest with death. Let us not pretend that it is less than it is. It is separation, it is sorrow, it is grief. But let us neither pretend that death is more than it is. It is not annihilation. As long as memory endures, Kathy's influence will be felt. It is not an end to love. Humanity's need for love from each of us is boundless. It is not an end to joy and laughter. Nothing would less honor Kathy's vibrant soul than to make our lives drab and counterfeit respect. When we stop to notice how the life of another gave us a path and a little light to see by, it encourages us to help carry that light forward. Though each of us carries forth in this world a small flame, we know that the ability of that light to brighten the world depends upon the many others who learn to walk with it in their hearts. I light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our religious tradition, with these words. For this hour, as we remember and celebrate the great light that Kathy Maietta brought into this world, may this flame remind us of that radiance and the ways in which it made our own lives grow brighter. We invite you to stand in body and or spirit and join in singing our hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I was sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the
Thank you. Please be seated. Kathy's daughter, Stephanie, will offer a eulogy.
Thank you all for being here. Mom would have been glad to have you here. The last days of my mom's life, I took time off so I could be fully present with her. And after she passed, I took some time to be present for my family and for my grief. And during that time, I had some time to reflect as I stepped away from everything. All of that noise of our usual daily life had softened, and I realized a singular and clear truth. The greatest gift we ever give to one another is our time and our undivided attention. And I learned that from my mom. She was incredibly generous with her time, especially for her family. I always knew, no matter what, if I called her and said I needed something, anything, she would show up. She would cook for us when we were sick, fill your fridge before you returned home from a long trip, and always asked if you needed anything, especially if she went to Costco. She had an ethos of care. Mom's childhood was typical of many immigrant families. She remembered being poor, not having a lot of new clothes, secondhand shopping, in fact. She had a fierce ethnic identity, though, and loved being Croatian. She grew up attending Croatian fraternal union events, the local Croatian church, and even learned traditional Croatian dancing. When we were going through her things, I found a newspaper clipping of her running to be Miss Croatia for the fraternal union. When she was very young in Pittsburgh, people could still use their native language and function perfectly. In fact, she said that she didn't learn to speak English until the nuns at St. George's taught her in elementary school. Mom was smart, curious, and loved learning. It was a shame she was never allowed to fulfill her actual dream of being a doctor. Her dad told her that women couldn't be doctors. I think she would have been a brilliant MD, but instead she became a nurse, which was the closest thing that she was allowed to do. It was a career she loved and thrived in. She spent most of her nursing career in a trauma center emergency room. She loved the variety and the excitement of the work, and it really suited her. She said she never got bored. She was not the stay-at-home mom type, but she always found time to bake us cookies, cook dinner, and keep an impeccable house. She really loved being a mother and tried to give us the childhood experiences she never had. Because she grew up in a strict immigrant household, she felt she wasn't really permitted to do that much as a young person. So whatever was going on with us kids, she embraced it with zest. She didn't just observe, she showed up. She organized, she volunteered, she was truly involved. Some of my earliest memories involve her hosting Boy and Girl Scout troops in our basement on Silver Oak Drive in Greentree. She organized crafts, and we even went on camping trips very young with the troops. She also took academics seriously with us. When one of us had a test, we all studied. We sat on the floor of the family room, quizzing each other with flashcards. She studied spelling, math, history, and science all the way through elementary school, and then as we entered high school, she even learned Spanish with us. We used to tease her endlessly because she still sounded like she was speaking Croatian, even when she was speaking Spanish. And of course, if she had taken any of those tests, she probably would have done better than we did. Well, at least better than Dom. Just kidding. My parents went looking for adventure and moved us to Arizona in the late 70s. And as soon as we were old enough to play school sports out there, where we were attending St. Daniel's, a tiny Catholic school that didn't have a budget for a bus driver for our away games, Mom decided she could get her commercial driver's license so she could drive the bus and take our teams to all the games. She was totally undaunted by the big yellow bus and recently told us when we were reminiscing that it was a lot of fun driving the bus. That's how she approached most things. She didn't shy away from a challenge. At least it was Arizona and not Pittsburgh, narrow, hilly roads. I'm not sure. She volunteered her time to serve those less fortunate in many ways. She was not afraid to picket or demonstrate. If there was an issue she felt strongly about, she was there. She also, over all the years, opened her home to so many people, some of them my friends that just needed a place to stay or a meal. I think when she became her grandmother, she found her best role. She could do all the fun things without having to be a disciplinarian. She chose to be called Baka, Croatian for grandma, and used to say, "What happens at Baka's stays at Baka's." She and my dad joyfully supported me in raising their only grandchild, picking up Isa from daycare and school, taking her to the movies, Disney on Ice, or anything that was happening around town. Mom at that time was no longer working because of her disability, but she took over watching Isa whenever Isa had to stay home sick. One time, I remember telling Isa that I could stay home with her when she was sick, and she told me, Isa that is, told me, "I prefer Baka, she's my nurse." Apparently, my skills did not match my mom's. When her great-grandson was born, she was over the moon. He was truly the apple of her eye, and she couldn't get enough of him. Even if she had seen him the day before, she'd say she missed him and would ask when she was going to see him again. While Mom saw life as an adventure, it was an adventure she often navigated through physical hardship. She had her first blood clot in her early 20s, and throughout her life, she faced more illnesses and health issues than most of us put together. In her 50s, she developed rheumatoid arthritis that caused her great pain all the way till the end. She also survived breast cancer, but the clotting disorder that hit her in 2022, less than a year after Dad died, brought an added weight to her final years. It was isolating in a way that was hard to watch. Between that and the grief of losing my dad, she physically and mentally distanced from the people and activities she loved. These stole much of her ability to fully enjoy life over these last 4 years. She was not the same vibrant and active person she once had been, but she still had the will and the dream of doing all the things. Nevertheless, when the doctors finally told her it was time for hospice, because she was no longer responding to treatment, she met that truth with directness and courage. She told us, "I'm about to be 81. I've lived a long life, longer than I ever thought I would with all my health problems. I have kids I love, an amazing granddaughter, and I even lived to see a great-grandson. I had a career that fulfilled me and a husband I loved. The only thing I could have wanted was more money to travel." And I told her, "Mom, I think we would all say that." But she resigned herself that she was at the end of life. She was not afraid of dying. Maybe all of those years of being a nurse had normalized it for her, but she was also a spiritual explorer and a dabbler in many different religions. She was not attached to any dogma or beliefs about the afterlife, so when talking in these last days about her death, she said she was curious to find out what actually happens next. She also said she was going to come back and give us a sign she was still around, to which I responded, "Mom, it sounds like you're threatening to haunt us." She smiled and said, "Yes, but in a good way." Somehow, Mom is going to find a way to still show up for us even after death. The love story of my mom and dad was complicated. They met at a party and thought they'd have a fling, and it turned into a lifetime. They were together for 55 years. She used to say, more or less, because they had separated more than once. Somehow, though, they always kept coming back to each other. I had a student that I taught many years ago who described her own marriage like this. There are days when I'm crazy in love with him. There are days that I can't even stand to look at him. And then there are days when I'm totally indifferent. And she said, as long as the days of love or more of those of hate or indifference were good. I think that sums up my parents' relationship. Most of their middle age was like that. There were days they were fighting, there were days they were wildly in love, and there were days that I don't think they cared to look at each other. But as they got older, their relationship shifted, and there was a tenderness and like a settled feeling between them that was totally different than when they were young. I feel like they did end up making peace with one another, and after Dad passed, she missed him terribly. She was 22 when they got married, so her whole adult identity was wound up with my dad. I like to think that they're together again now. I hope that any conflict or angst from this life has been resolved for them both, and they can just enjoy the best of one another alongside all the loved ones who've gone before them. My mom taught me that if you bring your curiosity to it, everything in life and even in death is an adventure, and that love is worth the work and all the time we can put in. Above all, she taught me that being fully present is the greatest gift we have to offer one another. So thank you, Mom, for showing up.
Kathy's son, Dominic.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for the support. It's been a difficult time. But you guys have been there for me. I appreciate it. This is a poem that my mother kept by her bedside. It's the Peace of the Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night, at least the sound and fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lay down where the wood drake rests in the beauty of the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief, and I come into the presence of still water. I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. One thing I wanted to talk about was at the end of my mother's life, I was pretty much there 24/7. And I got an understanding of who she was. And the one thing I noticed was whenever I said, so-and-so said hello, she always grilled me on how they were doing and what they were up to. And did they need anything? Are they okay? And so, you know, it was never about her. It was always about who was around her and who she was in contact with. She would love the fact that you guys are here. When we talked about what she wanted to, she said, I just want simple. I just want my friends and the people that love me. And then call Frankie and have my house do some food. All she wanted was just to be recognized. So thank you for recognizing her.
Kathy Maietta was one of the few people I have ever known who seemed to be largely at peace with life just as it is. Not many people in my experience are able, as Kathy was, to accept their lot in life without much bitterness, anger, or regret. That's not to say that Kathy was unrealistic about life. She understood and experienced pain and suffering in ways that many would find almost unbearable. But she did not spend much time complaining about it or wondering why me. She accepted, to the extent that anyone can, life just as it is: the good, the bad, the ugly, the imperfect, and the transcendent. Her acceptance was grounded in her deep spiritual sense, something that she had practiced and refined, I'm sure, over the course of her lifetime. When you meet someone who is grounded in this way, it's so refreshing and remarkable. It's almost as if this person has a kind of aura of peaceful acceptance that you can feel for yourself when you are close to them. Kathy had just such an aura, just such a presence. It was something to which I aspire, but which I can't honestly say that I have achieved. Amazingly, and perhaps counterintuitively, it is often the people who have suffered the most who develop this deeper spiritual sense and attitude of acceptance. It doesn't happen with everyone who suffers. In fact, many people who are in ill health for much of their lives end up deeply bitter and angry. But some people who have been through incredible challenges come to this place of peace and calm acceptance that can be contagious and spread to those who are fortunate enough to know them. And Kathy was, in my experience, one such person. We first bonded over our mutual admiration of Richard Rohr, a Franciscan friar, theologian, and author of numerous books centered on the idea of engaged spirituality that doesn't exist on a theoretical or otherworldly plane, but something that can be experienced right here, right now, if we are able to open our hearts and our minds to it. Rohr is one of the spiritual teachers I quote most often in my sermons, and Kathy and I had frequent conversations about Rohr's work. She shared with me that she and Pat had spent time with Rohr at his Center for Contemplation and Action in New Mexico, something that honestly made me a little bit envious. Kathy was also a frequent participant in the sacred chant sessions that I lead here at Sunny Hill, and found solace and inspiration in joining in chanting these simple songs from a number of different spiritual and religious traditions, one of which, meditation on breathing, we will sing later in the service. And she participated in our chalice circles and sharing circles, our small group ministry programs here at Sunny Hill, including a couple of circles that I co-facilitated. So over time, I got to know Kathy pretty well and developed a sense of who she was, what she valued, and how she chose to live her life. In all the years she spent caring for Pat, I never heard her describe it as a terrible burden, but rather as an opportunity, something she felt called to do, just as she felt called to be a nurse and a loving mother. After Pat's death, she came in to talk with me, and she was feeling at a loss as to what to do next. She had spent so much time looking after Pat that she wasn't sure what she would do without him. I encouraged her to think of Pat's death not as the end of a book, but as the end of a chapter in her life. And I suggested that she might cultivate curiosity about what her next chapter might be. Every now and then, somewhat to my surprise and amazement, people actually heed my advice, which I think is what Kathy did. From that point forward, when I spoke with her, although she was facing grave physical challenges herself, Kathy seemed engaged in the process of opening up to whatever was next and becoming curious about it, as Stephanie already described. When I spoke to her a couple of weeks before her death, while she was in home hospice care, she talked about death itself, not with any fear or trepidation, but with a genuine sense of curiosity about what would come after death, about what that next chapter would be like. What an amazing thing to be filled with wonder and curiosity even when facing one's own death. During our last conversation, Kathy said that she wanted her memorial service to be something simple that conveyed the idea that life is too precious to waste time on things that in the end don't matter. Our conversation reminded me of an email that Kathy had sent me years ago. She forwarded me a daily meditation from Richard Rohr, and she said at the top of the email, "Thought this might be an interesting topic for a sermon. What do you think, Kathy?" That meditation read in part as follows: "Our unhealthy economics and politics persist because we largely operate out of a worldview of scarcity. There is not enough land, water, money, and housing for all of us. And in America, there are never enough guns to keep us safe. A saint always knows that there is more than enough for our need, but never enough for our greed." Rohr goes on, "Only our personal experiences of unconditional, unearned, and infinite love and forgiveness can move us from the normal worldview of scarcity to the divine world of infinite abundance. That's when the doors of mercy blow wide open." Today, as we remember Kathy Maietta, I hope and pray that we will live our lives in such a way as to experience and bring into being this world of infinite love and infinite abundance, and that the doors of mercy might blow wide open for us as they have for Kathy. May it be so. Amen. Now another reading, a poem from Rainer Maria Rilke, which will be read by Kathy Cummins.
I believe in all that had never met been spoken. I want to free what waits within me, so that no one has dared to wish for, may for once spring clear without my contriving. If this arrogant God forgive me, but this is what I need to say. May what I do flow from me like a river. No forcing, no holding back, the way it is with children. That in the swelling and ebbing currents, these deepening tides moving out, returning, I will sing you as no one ever has, streaming through widening channels into the open sea.
In the rising of the sun, we remember.
In the blowing of the wind, we remember.
In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. In the blue
depressed and sick at heart, we remember.
When we've joys we yearn to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. And we remember.
We remember. We remember.
If any of you here today have a personal remembrance or brief story about Kathy that you would like to share with the rest of us, and now invite you to come forward and share. Is there anyone that has a particular memory? Will?
Hi, my name is Will Page, and I knew Kathy through this church. And when I was organizing my thoughts about how I met Kathy, I was thinking, yeah, we met several years ago. And then after listening to Stephanie and the stories, I realized, wow, it's probably closer to 15 years than it was to 5. But I remember exactly when I met Kathy. It was when I joined my first sharing circle, the small discussion groups that Jim mentioned. Yeah, there was me, there was Kathy, and there was probably 6 or 7 other people who I couldn't name. And the reason I remember Kathy so well is we seemed to have senses of humor that vibrated on the same frequency. And whenever we were together, we shared a lot of laughs. You know, after the sharing circle, we would meet at events here, and we would always sit together and laugh. In those moments, if you share that with someone you know, it's such a gift. And I'm really grateful for it. And I'm glad to have known Kathy and shared that. And I feel lucky to know her. Thanks.
Any others who'd like to share a memory or story? Carol?
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Slomsky, and even though I've never met a lot of you, I feel like I know you, especially those of you in Kathy's family, because she loved you so much and she talked about you all the time. So I met Kathy when I first moved here to Pittsburgh about 15 years, so she is my oldest Pittsburgh friend. And we did so many things together, and we had so many adventures. I'll be thankful for her for a couple of things in particular. One is that she introduced me to 2 things that are very dear to me. One is the Pittsburgh Arts and Lectures, because she loved to read, and we would read many books and talk about them. She also introduced me to Sunny Hill, and so I'm very grateful to her for that. I just want to share one story. A few years back, we decided we would go to the Covered Bridge Festival. Well, we drove down to Mingo Creek Park, and we spent all of our time going through the craft fair. So we, at the end of that afternoon, we drove down to see one of the covered bridges. And on the way back, we were out in the middle of nowhere. Our GPS wasn't working, and we were kind of on this, we were basically lost. We were on this road that was going through the woods. It was starting to get dark, and I gotta admit, I was very nervous. And I looked at Kathy, and she looked at me, and she said, "Isn't this fun?" She said, "I don't know where we are, but we're gonna make it back." And we did. And so I don't know where she is now, but I know she's gonna make it. Thank you.
Any other stories or memories that anyone would like to share? We will have an opportunity to share more informally in the reception and luncheon following. We'll now have a candle lighting ritual. As we sing meditation on breathing, we invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light a candle in honor of the great light that Kathy brought into this world. Whenever you're ready, just come up, light a candle, place it in the sand, and then return to your seat.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
We will close for now with these words. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not just your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Go in peace, and when you go, may an abiding peace go with you.